What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing tonight? Andy, Casey, what's up, guys? We've got the Andy. You're muted, buddy.
Got it. Doing good, man. Sorry about that.
No problem, buddy. So this is the Rolling Thunder audio live stream, episode 8. We've got a very special guest tonight. He's a local team member, and actually, come to find out, he lives like 80 minutes up the road from us. Our Royal Hitters, and very big, well-known guy, CigarJoe. He's got an insane Tahoe build with is it 6 or 815s, Casey? It's 815s, yeah.
Level 6.
In a fourth order with 2 Crescendo BC17Ks and some crazy door setups and all that stuff. He's a great guy. So we're going to go over that, and then we'll take after we interview him, we'll go into people's upgrade paths for car audio and how they should take and maybe have some insight on when they're getting started into audio, some good paths and upgrade paths they can have for their stereo. But we're going to go ahead and bring our guest in now, Joe.
How you doing?
What's up, guys? Just taking. Glad to have you on here tonight, buddy. How you doing today, Joe?
Doing fine. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. Like we took in, we speedballed the idea of having you on here when we were at the Excess Power show, and of course you were down for it. And I think it's going to be a good episode. So we figured we'd go into a deep dive and find out a little bit of history of our buddy here. And we've already got some people in the chat, but we're going to go into it, man. So you're quite a known guy. I'm going to go ahead and share a video while we're talking in the background of your insane build going on here. It's so you've got a Tahoe. You want to go over a little bit what's in your truck right now?
Sure. It's a 2011 Tahoe. It has 8 DC audio L615s powered by 2 Crescendo 17Ks. Supporting power would be 2 limitless lithium 100s charging by 3 Mechman alternators. 2 are currently 500 amp. 1 is a 370. The doors are Alfred Audio and DB Defbons and Alfred tweeters too. Also, power in the doors for amps is Crescendo Audios, 2 Crescendo 1100.4s and 2 2000.4s.
Nice.
It hurts.
It's sick build.
It hurts a lot.
I got plenty of power for sure.
Yeah.
Power on reserve, if anything. And in all reality, sorry, what were you saying?
You should always have more power than you need. I think it's better when you're at an extreme level build.
For sure, really. I'm starting to see that myself.
Yeah, if you're running a little short on power, you're just going to damage your speakers, or you're going to damage your amplifiers. One of the two.
For sure, yeah. Trying to squeeze it all out of there.
That's right. It's going to be screaming, and it can't keep up with that.
Yeah, that's a good point for later in the show. We can talk about too. Heck yeah! Don't want to damage your equipment.
No, not at all. Turn it down is better than turning it up.
Yeah. Turn down what?
The funny thing on this one isn't this multiple subwoofers down and
yes it is. So right now I have no alternators running. The engine's not running. There's no alternators on it. I'm running on dead batteries and 2 blown subwoofers.
Look at the windshield.
That window. Out. Holy crap! That's not leaking at all.
No.
Oh, you blew it with power.
Not at all. Good thing I keep it in the garage.
Yeah.
We were trying to send it out. I'm getting replaced on Monday, which we were trying to shatter it and send it through, but with 2 blown subs and no power, we just couldn't get enough out of it.
Yeah.
I figured I would share that. That was a pretty insane moment. I was excited I could, capture that with it.
And I found out when I got back in the house that I knocked every picture off the walls, knocked glasses out of the cabinets, and scared all the cats to death.
Whoopsies.
Poor kitties.
I think they'll end up being okay though. But we take it and it's an insane build, man. And it's very clean. And this guy actually built your box himself, so it's a Basaholic design.
Yes, it is. Drew Jones. He drew that box. He drew it out for us, and I built it with a very good friend of mine, Tony Rafferty. We put it together, and we actually built it on the floor in the garage in the middle of winter because no way was it fitting to the back of the Tahoe. And we built it all on the floor, assembled it, made sure it was a perfect fit, disassembled it, put it in the truck, reassembled it, and secured it down with a lot of work it took. And then Tony painted it all himself. He got in the box and did all the paint work. And then I did the rest of the install.
Fantastic, man. And they're DC level 6s, you said?
DC level 6s. Yeah.
Killer.
It actually started out. I'm sorry to hear you.
Tony's a good guy.
Tony, I love Tony. Yeah.
So the question we all want to know, what kind of numbers does it do?
Oh, that's a good question. So last time I actually metered it was at the Power Hog show. And it was the spur of the moment. I've been pounding all day, and I really wasn't ready to run it. And so former team I was with, which is Southern Pressure, great bunch of people. I don't know if they're in here or not yet. I can't see the chat room, but great bunch of people. Robin, he's in charge over there. He come up to me and said, can you run? I said, well, I've been running all day. I really wasn't prepared to run, but sure. So I pulled it up there, and I really wasn't ready. I grabbed any song, I threw it out there, and I did a 57 on it on real low power and overheated subwoofers, and I really wasn't ready at all. So I just ran up there, threw a number out there, and ran one time and said, as long as I beat the last guy, that's good enough, and that's all I needed to do.
I think you took a trophy, didn't you? You took a trophy.
I did. I took two first place trophies that day. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's almost like
that's all I have. All I have to do was beat the other guy's number, and that's as loud as it needed to be. That's what we did.
That's it. Sandbag till finals.
A quarter game or a quarter knob.
Yeah, you beat me. I did a 54 that day. You did a 57, and I was like, dang.
Well, I had I had two team members over there nodding me off when I hit the number to beat them. They shut me down. That's all I needed to do.
Heck yeah. So how did it start out, Joe? So you've been an enthusiast in car audio for how long now?
Long time.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years.
Yeah, it has. I'm getting up there. So I actually started this when I was very young. I quit school when I was 15 and went to work with my dad first. Rode with him as his helper, I guess. And I was 13, 14 riding with him as much as I could. And by the time I quit school, I was 15, and I went full time to work. And started out hearing the people in the street. And this one guy pulled up next to us, and that's what hooked me. And this was a long time ago, and he hit pretty hard, and that's when I got hooked. And at that point, I knew I had to have bass. And it was a little Honda Civic, and there's a couple guys in it, and that's when I knew I had to have it then. And I started out with your typical, floor speakers from, Sherman Vega, like everybody else does in their car, and flea market stuff, and like everybody else winds up with. And that's when I learned you start with the flea market gear, and you step up to the next step, the next level, and you go from there, which is really a good idea.
I think it's funny that you say that because when we interviewed Armando on episode 1, he actually said too that he started out with Sherman Vega speakers that he got from the flea market, man.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And it's crazy too the amount of people that hearing that as impressionable as a young person, hearing that one bass setup, they're just like, I'm in it, I'm about this, and I want it.
It's probably everybody at the same age group is the key. I was 15, and I'm almost 50, so it's been a few years back, but you get what's available around you. You see in your house, you see those big speakers, you assume that's got to do the same thing, and it does sound good when you have a good solid amp on them. Remember, amp is relevant to the time period, so that is relevant. So you look back at time, you get what's available. It was powerful for its day, and it sounded really good. You put a full range to it, and hey, it had good sound, and you realize I need more. So you put another set of speakers that you get from your shelf at home in there, and it has more sound than you because you're not really familiar with what's popular. You haven't had training or experience yet. Once you get more training, more experience, you realize, no, you need subwoofers, not those subwoofers, real subwoofers, and then you go to the store. And once you go to the store, the guy sells you first whatever he's going to sell you, and then you wind up at the flea market, and you start getting what you think is good gear.
One step at a time.
That's right.
And a lot of people don't realize too is even in my time of it, I grew up in the early days of internet, but you didn't have forums. You didn't have, the group pages and stuff like that. You couldn't go on Facebook and say, what is best? Should I do for system?
No. Back in the 80s, there was no internet at all. Back didn't have cell phones either. So you had to go to see what's available, see what's around, or go to the store. And even then, the store would sell you either what was the most expensive or what was in your budget. They would sell you something, period. You're not leaving for free. So the first set of subwoofers I actually bought that were subwoofers were Fultron at the time. And they were excellent at the time. I thought they were excellent. They hit hard. I have a trophy somewhere from the show I went to with those that was a 46 with 2 Fultron 10s on a punch 60 in my Nissan. So that was amazing, Nissan pickup. That was pretty amazing. I thought it was at the time. Looking back on it, it was not so amazing, but at the time it looked like crap too, but it sounded great.
What do you think that would be on today's meter?
30s.
It depends on the meter you're going to use. They're probably in the 30s. It was
35. 35 back in the 90s, man. That was loud back then. For what know what I mean? Your daily kind of setup.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Big difference in equipment though. Smaller coils, lower power. The connections were not as good. It was a totally different system. Now you look at stuff today, the game isn't the same. The game isn't the same. No. We're still running tape decks back then. So
it's pretty cool. Have y'all seen the old Pioneer commercials where she's driving around the Porsche and she has like the tape deck in there and you're like, this is sound, like an experience. Remember those commercials? Like that? Yeah.
I remember the old audio commercials. My first set of subs
They're
was
so cool, man.
Oh, they are cool. The I punch Rockford Punch HEs, and they're like 400-watt max subwoofers, and I thought I was just. Psh. And Andy, wasn't it something similar with you too? You heard a bass system or something like that, or something similar with yours? And
Yeah, I think. Let me think. The first system that I saw before I actually had my own, it was probably at the car show, and it was my buddy Brian, and he had a Camaro. This thing looked like the Batmobile. I'm not kidding. Bodywork, that kind of stuff. But he had all Sony Explodes in there, and he had like 2 firing in, and he had 2 in the trunk, and it was like all like fiberglass and white, and like lights and all. And then the doors were all done. Super cool guy, man. He still has it today, which is crazy. And nothing too crazy, but man, it sounded so good, so clean. I was like, ooh, this is cool. Okay, so I need to go to Walmart and get this sub. And do I just put it on the back of my trunk deck, or I need a box for that? Oh, okay, we're gonna need a box. Okay, oh, I need an amp. Like, that's literally how it started. I don't even know. I'm just throwing stuff together.
And that's one thing I love about this, and I've said it to you guys multiple times. Like, it humanizes a lot of these people. Like, for instance, like when people meet Joe and they see his insane setup he's got, they don't realize there's levels to this, and there's paths that you've taken, there's experiences and things you've learned, and there's different installs and upgrade paths. I mean, just in the time that I've known you, Andy, like going over your Eclipse build, it's been many changes of it. Has gone through, and Joe, I haven't known you terribly long, but just going through your stuff, like you didn't even have that. How long has that wall been in there? It's not been in there terribly long.
So this last build, this truck I've had for 2 years. I've had 3 builds in it. This is the last one, which was 815s. I've had since December this year. Well, last year. Before that, I had 615s, which I had for 3 months, and it was enough, but it didn't look good. It just wasn't impressive visually. Before that, I had 415s, and it was loud. Believe me, it was in the high 50s. It wasn't visually attractive. So I said, okay, I need more. So then I went to 615s, and I said, okay, it doesn't look good. I need more. And now I have 815s, and it looks good. I'm happy. That's good enough for me.
Was the Tahoe like an entry back into you getting in the car and competing, or was there what point in time did you decide you wanted to start doing the shows and showing off your car audio and competing with that? Has that been something recently or something you've done for a while, or what?
So I've always had, in all my service vehicles I've had since day one, and every car I've had since day one, I've always had big bass in it. Every single one of them. My Beretta, my Caprices, every car I've had. I can run the list for 42 cars. But I only competed because it was fun. I never belonged to a club. I never actually went specifically to car shows to compete. I just went to show off. I bought this Tahoe just to build a big build in it, just because I wanted to go ahead, and I figured, okay, now it's time. The shows are getting much bigger, much larger. And now I want to compete because now I'm at a point in life where I have more time. My kids are all grown up. They're all moved on. I have more time. Now I want to build, to show, to compete because I got good skill and I have the time, and it's an expensive hobby and I got a little extra money. I'm going to play with it now. So now I'm going to build to compete. And that's what I decided to do. Bought this Tahoe specifically to do it. And that's what I did.
Heck yeah. What organizations do you compete with it in? Like Mecca, NADBL, DB Drag? What do you run?
Any show that's available that we go to, if they're there, I'll play.
Okay, I gotcha. So
I'm not picky.
Like a wall class.
Anything? Yeah, I don't name anything specifically. If they're there, we'll do it.
Joe's like, you got a meter? We'll stick it on the glass.
Yeah. The next one. I'll put it on. I'll put it on the meter. I don't mind.
Heck yeah.
That's
no one's ever seen a full number though from you, I don't think.
No, I keep that down. I keep that on the quiet side because I don't want to be oversized. It's loud enough.
Do you see an upgrade path from there? Do you think you're going to go louder with it? You're going to go changes? I know we're doing some changes to it now with the recones. What's the cycle on that going to be? Well,
this truck's going to be sold to the next person who wants to buy it, and I'm going to build another vehicle right after it. I have more fun building it than I do keeping it.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a Suburban. What do you got in mind for that, buddy?
I think I'm going to go all stereo integrity inside of it. Ooh. And go for an SBL SQ build.
That sounds very impressive. What kind of? You still going to use the crescendo amplifiers?
No, I think I'm going to do all stereo integrity for that build.
Oh, gotcha. I thought you meant just to use the drivers. I wouldn't familiar they made big amplifiers.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, they do. I love crescendo amplifiers. They're top of the line as far as I'm concerned. I mean, everybody has their own opinion about what amplifier is better, and that's fine. What you like is what you like. Crescendo makes amazing amplifiers. I beat these to death. There's no question. But for that build, that's going to be a specific build for a specific reason. It's an SQ SBL build. It's going to be a double-sided build. So it will do both SQ, and if you flip it to the other side, it's going to be SBL. which is something I don't see very much. So that's going to be a totally unique build. That's going to be alongside of a 90s era mini truck I'm going to be building as another side job just for fun.
That reminds me of kind of like, John Harabik at all? He's been competing for a long time. He has a kicker truck, 16 old school black kicker comp 15s in it in a C-clam wall. And he has US gold amps in the back. It's like literally built from 1995. Yeah, he used to do all the SQ and SPL type deal. So that's kind of what it reminds me of.
Joe, I know I liked you, buddy. What kind of mini truck? Let's get a Nissan hardbody. We need a extended cab Nissan hardbody.
No, I'm going to do a 96 to a 99 Mazda King Cab.
Close enough. Pretty much the same thing, but a Mazda.
Drop it, bag it, stretch it, whatever, whatever.
Heck yes. Dude. We're just going to crank the torsion keys out. We'll put some blocks in the back and just worry about the base for the rest of it.
Yeah.
I've been talking.
Cap on it, wallet, it's good.
We're going to be best friends, Joe. So I was just talking smack the other day to somebody. I want to do a 90s mini truck build, take the snug top it, take the back glass out of the truck, and have that actually be the port baffle into the back of the cab. But you still want the king cab because you can do a nice amp rack behind the seats.
You're almost there. We got to do the graphics down the side, have the side come over the cab. That's going to be the stunt wall, and then wall the back of it out, and it's going to be sweet. Mini Suburban.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah.
What up, Tate?
Dayton's on the back, straight 90s all the way. Yeah.
Dude, I'm about it, dude. I'm that nasty lowrider life. I need another one right now. I need a Nissan. I need to find somebody's crappy Nissan pickup truck that's been a work truck for 2 decades and is a 5-speed manual. And I
roll
want
up windows. Roll up the windows.
Yes. Yeah. And a 4-cylinder. I don't want the V6. I don't want the V6 one. You can keep that one. The 4-cylinder.
Targa top and everything.
Maybe. I'll let you rock your chest hair out with the Targa top. Go another.
Yeah. You got to have that out.
It's got to.
Got to. If you're going to do it, you got to make it 1996 all the way. The right wheels and everything. Big 5 blades, deep dish, everything. Gold. Come on.
See, Joe, you're going to have to get with the times now because there's people saying you need to start a YouTube channel yourself and start covering that build. They want to see your build. We got to start covering it.
Oh, no.
I'm on YouTube.
So, this is Joe's first time. Next thing you know, Joe's going to be doing live stream videos, doing workshop stuff in his garage here,
Yeah, sure.
That's how it all starts. Oh, yeah, just for the people who want to follow the build. And then next thing you know, you're dyno and amplifiers and all that.
Yeah, look at Andy. Yeah,
42,000 followers, right?
Yeah. Andy went from I'm going to show off Cookie Monster to I'm going to dedicate a room to my house. Let's do it.
Yep.
That was my plan when I did this Tahoe. I filmed it all. I filmed everything about it. I recorded everything. I put 0 of it online. 0.
What y'all don't know is that that's actually Andy's bathroom.
Yeah.
It's actually right here. Close enough.
So when it comes to the big builds, people see my big build, which is a pretty good size build. I mean, it's not the biggest in the world, but it's pretty good size. I tell them all the time, don't do this. Start out with small stuff, small equipment, buy entry level stuff, and then upgrade slowly. But don't jump into buying a massive amount of equipment. You're going to be very disappointed. That's way too much work. It's never ending. You never have to stop tweaking it. Anybody who has a large build will tell you you're always tuning, you're always tweaking, you're always replacing, you're always repairing. By entry level, and then when it's not enough, then you upgrade, and then you upgrade, and then you upgrade. That's the way you should be doing it.
It's like buying a motorcycle. You're not just going to go out and get a Busa,
Right.
You could, but it's not going to work
first
well.
bike. Yeah.
Not a good entry bike.
Die.
I'm glad you did that, and that's a good segue. We're right here at the 20-minute mark, and we'll go ahead and go into it. There is upgrade paths in audio, like I was saying, in ways you want to move up and start out. And I completely agree. A lot of people will do what you want to throw it on credit or bankroll it and go to start big build off the rip. You're going to be breaking in a lot of stuff. You're going to be having the learning experience and all that jazz. And all reality, some of my best sounding stereos, the ones I enjoyed thoroughly, and I never broke anything when I was under 1,000 watts RMS. It's pretty much you just clip it all day, dude. Just full volume, rock out, stock battery, and you're going to send it. But
your first subwoofer should not be woofers you need to recone. It should be disposables, and be okay with that.
There's nothing wrong with that too. There's some great subwoofers out there that they make no recone kits for. Look at Rockford P1, P2, P3. They don't make recone kits for that because guess what? They don't die unless you intentionally mess them up.
Right. Put a good amp on them. We'll be happy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
First sub I ever blew was a P2.
It happens.
That was the only sub I ever blew until
Until recently. Now he's on a – see, Casey gave me crap about blowing subs. Now he's on a hot streak, okay?
Ooh.
Dude, your body count, mine pales
All
in
those
comparison.
EV6s. Oh, no.
Yeah.
How many you got left?
No,
All four.
yeah, he's got all
Okay.
four.
Just
He's
slap
great
okay.
with them. So,
Good.
but going forward with that, though, and we'll go ahead and if you guys – this is where we're going to go to community. And what do you guys recommend on it? I think some of the best things that somebody getting into cardio can purchase and to have expandability options. I think a lot of gentlemen need to skip the idea of just buying a bass amp to begin with. I think a 4-channel that's something is halfway decent quality is going to be a great purchase for a lot of people starting out because you can automatically power your door speakers if you upgrade them and bridge 2 channels on a subwoofer and upgrade your whole entire stereo versus throwing a sub and all that stuff on just a single amp and a sub on stock speakers or stock power speakers off your head unit. What do you guys think about that?
That's coming into a lot of things that people don't know, though. You know what I mean? Like if you're first new in the game, you're not going to know that you can bridge 2 channels and then use the other 2 for your front speakers. You know what I mean?
That's what we're here for. It's 2021.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
So the
it
variable
shows
would
in the
be on the
manual, but
car.
it doesn't show like, hey, you could do this because they want you to buy the bass amp too. But that's what you're right, Scott. A lot of people just throw a bass amp in there and then they don't upgrade their mids and highs, and they're like, why can't I hear my music? So that is a great compensation to do. So you have power for your mids and highs, and you're not going too crazy where you're blowing out your stock speakers that you didn't replace yet. So, but you're getting a little bit better sound out of it. Right.
I wish I would have done it.
For sure.
I wish I would have thought to do it because if you're planning on expanding your system, here's how I look at it. And if you have something that comes to mind, you can take your turn next, and we'll go on input on it. Doing the 4-channel, okay? If you're thinking I'm gonna do a system in my car, okay? If you're already planning to do that, and you're like, I'm gonna run these RCA's to the back, you might as well do your front and rear and your subwoofer, or your front and your subwoofer at the same time, and then you're only doing one power wire, any of that stuff. And I think it's kind of funny how you were saying they don't really market that anymore. If you remember in early 2000s or 90s, pretty much every 4-channel was like 432, on all of them. And then they don't really show that too much anymore. But I think it's something good somebody can do. I have 2 Memphis SR10s on a DB drive, WDX. I can't kill them. I've tried. And that's the C. There you go. When you get into those lower power systems, you probably bangs all day. Your voltage doesn't drop, and then you're good. And a lot of people too, if they'll probably be happy on a smaller setup. I think I'm sure some crazy majority number of systems are probably under 140 decibels. But we'll go ahead and kick it off next. Like Casey, what do you think? Or Andy, what's something to be good for an upgrade path or a tip for somebody starting out?
Man, my idea on it, and I thought about this long and hard, but it's kind of what I stick with. When I tell people, when you want to do something, know the end goal of what you want. Don't build to, well, I want to do this when I have the money now, and then eventually I'm going to upgrade to this later. But it's like, well, how long are you going to upgrade it then? Like, as in, okay, I want to run this sub and this amp, but then, oh, well, I'm going to actually, run this amp on it and this and not design the box. Because then you're like taking back steps. You got to rebuild the box, or you're clipping your amplifier because you didn't get the battery. You didn't get the the alternator to charge it. So it's kind of like, it's hard to tell people that, like, hey, maybe you should just get an AGM battery in the back instead of that capacitor. And you know what? If you want to keep the car for more than 3 years, I suggest getting a high output alternator, regardless of the system, just in general. But it really depends on what they want to do. And that's what is the end goal? What do you want out of your system within, the year? Next year you want to do something different? That's fine. If you want to pull it all apart, by all means.
Yeah. And if you ever off that, in my opinion, I think the biggest thing you can do is just starting out is get a really good radio, because that's going to be the foundation of what, everything comes from the source, so why wouldn't you want the source to be as good as possible? So you really spring for the radio, get something that's really nice, has some crossovers, some adjustability that you can really fine tune. And that would be my 100% best starting point for that.
Right.
Yeah, you completely skipped me on that. I didn't even, and I preach that all the time. People are like, "Oh, I can add the DSP downline, all that." Like, no, if you would have waited a little bit, you could get a decent source unit that has the 5-volt pre-outs. It's got the nice crossovers and slopes and the adjustability, and whatever you're feeding downstream, you can't take crap, polish it, and then expect it to be golden in the back. Everything you're chaining downline is going to start from that source unit. That's a good point on that one, Casey. Right. But what you think, Joe? So start now.
there's a couple of variables I have to add. So depending on the person's budget is a big factor, and then the vehicle. So many cars today come with really nice radios in them, but they're not really compatible with aftermarket aftermarket amplifiers. And if you have to start adding converters that's going to take speaker level inputs into RCAs, that's a problem. So if for example, my Tahoe is no problem swapping it, but if you got some of these Acuras or these new Hondas like this one here, you really can't put a radio in it without huge dash kits that are going to cost you in excess of a couple $100. That's going to eat up most of these people's budgets. So if they're going to start out with $1,000 budget, which is the average person's startup build, that's going to eat up a good quarter of their budget to start with. And then they got to buy a radio for $400. That's half their budget right up the stop before they bought one amplifier or one speaker. So depending on the year of the car they're using, that's a big start. You got to even start the conversation with anybody. If they ask me, what should I do? I got to know what they're buying, what they're putting it in. Because just to tell them, yeah, go buy a new radio is great, but that could be a $500 ticket, not even counting the radio, depending on the radio they're buying, before they even got started buying an amplifier for $400 for an amp and $600 for speakers, and it could wipe their budget out and really taint their whole future on car audio. Walk into a car shop, they're going to tell you, oh, buy this radio or buy that amplifier or buy those subwoofers. And I disagree on most people doing it in that order. Depending on the car they have, a cheap set of speakers, a subwoofers, a cheap box. I do recommend sealed box for most people on their first one because it gives them more control over it right away. A decent little amplifier, run some decent power to it, and start from there. Use what you have, and then push forward. Because once you've had it a while, then okay, I do need a better radio, or I do need better door speakers. Well, now you need an amplifier. I feel it goes back, work forward. Because unless you just have junk radio, I get all that.
Right. Yeah. But some of the factory radios are garbage too.
Yeah, I mean, most radios today are pretty good. Most radios are pretty good.
You can get good DSPs, and you can do an audio control. They have really good stuff.
Yeah, I was just going to say the kicker key technology, just because it's such new cars,
they are excellent.
You can't even replace the head unit. You don't want to.
40,
you don't even want to, yeah.
We're talking about entry level here. Entry level people, they're not going to want to drop $1,500 on a top of line head unit, or even a half cheap, even a Blaupunkt. I'm not picking on Blaupunkt, whatever. A cheap head unit and et cetera, and all these converters to make the subwoofers play. They're just not going to do it.
The thing too is though, and I'm glad they brought it up on the Kicker Unmasked show the other day. For instance, the Kicker products, they can take up to 40 volts input. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, they'll tell people, if don't even buy the line converter, dude, just straight up high level input into these. If you spend the money on a higher quality. Now let's say we've already say, hey, I've got to keep this stock radio. I have a forward sync radio. I don't want to deal with all the nonsense of changing it. A lot of times you're probably better running high level straight into a nicer radio, amplifier, than taking it and dealing with the line converter. But and then B, the one thing I'd like to go back to where Dean from 5 Star said, you're either going to spend the money on a source unit or you're going to spend the money on getting the quality sound and signal out of that stock source unit. So it's going to be a trade-off either way. And I'm glad you brought that up because even Casey and I both just completely skipped over the source signal on that. And that was pretty tight. Now, moving forward, going into, so obviously, Joe, you said that you recommend a sealed box, and I think that's good too, as far as starting up. Bearing on application, do you guys think, let's say that we've established a source unit, we've established how we're getting signal. Do you recommend buy the subwoofer first, and then you want to buy an amplifier to pair to it, or you recommend designing your system out, or getting amplifier first, then saying, okay, cool, I have this power, I'm going to power these subs? What kind of order do you guys think we get going? What's up, Jake? I see you in there.
I think it starts with budget. And then preference, because people like certain brands or they just want certain sound. And then, like you said, with the sealed box, there's less error with that too. I would suggest that as well. Less output, but, when you start out, anything sounds loud. So, but yeah, that's the thing. I hate when people are like, oh, well, what's the best sub for this, or what's the best amp for this? And it depends what you want to wire at, what you can wire at, and how much electrical you have to support it. So the question of what comes first, the chicken or the egg, sub or the amp, they have to go together. End of the story. When you buy the amp, you buy the sub. So just so you know.
Yeah, and that's one thing. And let's say from a manufacturer standpoint, you get to it, all the stuff. People are like, oh, I want to use this amp. And I'm like, can it do 0.25 or whatever. And they're like, no, we don't ready for that. And they're like, well, I have these subs, and you're like, well, it sounds like you've got the wrong subs for this application, but like, we take, and I like Jake's comment here. Good base takes space. Now, I don't think that, yes, and a big,
Jake, you love airspace. Man.
Yeah, Jake, yeah,
airspace in this guy.
Yeah, it does, but that's to an extent, though. I mean, I've had 1 cubic foot, 1.5 cubic foot box like that. That box I put in the Corvette was like 1.5 cubic feet prefab, tuned to like 43 hertz, and it like beat the snot out of my Corvette, dude. It just depends on your application and size.
Yeah, but you had a stroker in that, so that's not fair.
No, this is the Lightning Audio. This is the Lightning Audio 10.
Oh, okay.
I had a Lightning Audio Strike 10 before I had the stroker in there.
Yeah, to get some low extension, you need some space. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Heck yeah! Somebody, you got a fan in here, Andy.
Yo, Bobby B. Oh yeah, he's the number one kicker fan right there, man. That's my competition, Bobby.
Says who? No, I'm just kidding.
So we've got it planned out now. So we're like, okay, cool. We're getting into audio. I've been taking and stacking money back to get a budget together on expanding this stuff. I've got my first base in here and stuff like that. I'm noticing my headlights are dimming, man. Do I need to do the big 3? Do I need to do a cap? What do I need to do? Do I need to add a battery in the trunk? What kind of battery should I buy, or what do you think, man? So we're going to go into that. I'm thinking, generally speaking, people need to be looking into probably upgrading their power and ground wire, and at the same time adding an additional sealed battery in the rear that's friendly with their front. How are you guys feeling about moving in this? And then once they go from the battery, go to an alternator. You guys got the same idea, or what are you guys thinking?
I'm an alternator big 3 first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Most bigger installs that I do are automatically just upgrade their charging and ground up front. And then at least do, a good first battery, starting battery, you know what I mean? And then alternator, like Joe said, for sure. That's very important because the stock alternators take abuse.
Yeah, talk on it's not going to last 15 minutes after you start putting system in there. So you got to do that first. That's got to go first.
Hey, I say capacitor. That's what Best Buy told me to do. They told me get rid of your dimming headlights.
It says it on the box. Stop.
It's a 1 farad capacitor. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
You need like 300.
Is this good? 1,000 watts. Will this support 1,000? But no, and what I meant by upgrade the wires, I also meant obviously the big 3 and stuff. And that's gonna be a move to it. I think, and that's one thing people need to be conscious of too is what their voltage is at. Like you can probably on a lot of these systems, and even I'm guilty of this in the past. I could have gotten better performance, numbers, or anything, even sound, out of it, making sure that I had the proper electrical to support those amplifiers. Because again, as Andy mentioned a few minutes ago, like the harder you have to drive those amplifiers, and the lower the voltage gets, it's having to work harder to cram up that signal and voltage. You're getting distortion and heat, and it's going to translate into not as good a sound or loudness.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suggest people to run if it depends the person I'm talking to. If they're like first getting into it and they got like 5 to an 800 RMS amp and they just got one power wire and they're like, hey, my amps or my wire's melting, my fuse is melting. Do you have another fuse? Like my buddy said, I'm like, dude, do you have a battery in the back? Oh no. Well, it's because you got too much draw going across that wire coming from that amplifier. You need something close to that amplifier to take the abuse and then the run to charge the battery. And it really, you can get away with less. Yeah, your battery's not going to get charged in time if you don't have the power supplying it. But at the end of the day, you're going to keep your amplifier a little bit better off than having no battery in the back close to it. I've noticed that, man. Like Kayla's system, not going to lie, I need to run the 0 gauge from front to back. But with her system, like, yeah, it's just a burp box with the 4,000 watts clamping. But I'm clamping 4,000 watts with one AGM Group 31 in the back. Like literally 4,000 watts with an 8 gauge run front to back with a 50 amp fuse. So it's not melting the wire. It's not melting the fuse. That battery's taking the punishment. Now, can you demo like that for long? No, man. The battery just starts dropping. But it's still, at the end of the day, that just goes to show you need that battery close to that amp, to take the abuse. But then, like you said, with heat and driving something really hard, that battery's not going to last forever. You know what I mean? Because you're putting so much stress on it. You're cycling it down, down, down constantly, and it's not getting charged. But, yeah, that's the biggest thing that I learned. Because, like when I started out, everyone went to Walmart or whatever, got the Scotch wire, at least it was, OFC wire, and had the 8 gauge kit or the 4 gauge kit, and your fuse starts melting. you don't think, oh, well, maybe I should put a car battery in the back of my car. I already got a capacitor. I don't need anything else,
Yeah.
It's stuff like that you learn from other people, and it's nice that we do what we do to help people out, man, because, hey.
Well, even the guys that get into adding the extra batteries and stuff. I mean, I remember being younger and having installs, even if it was under 1,000 watts, and like, I got this rear auxiliary battery. I can support anything I need off this,
Yeah.
And little do I know, and I had no kind of measurement for reading the voltage other than my gauge on my dash or anything. And you're like, it's great, it's probably dipping into tens, nines, whatever stock all. There's no telling, there's no telling.
Yeah, but the amp still ran.
They never cut off. But we take in. I see all these nice RCAs. I see, nice bass knobs or nice, enclosure stuff like that. What point do you guys start recommending people to start investing the money on the aesthetic things that don't necessarily bring, performance to the build, but may add longevity or lifespan to the system, or maybe noise or things along those lines? What do you think about that? Because again, it's one of those things people do, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to upgrade later." The next thing you know, you have a set of $20 RCAs that's been under your carpet for 5 years, and you're wondering why you have noise in it.
No, RCAs specifically, if you're buying RCAs, buy the best ones you can afford.
Yeah,
don't cheap on RCAs. Don't waste a penny on RCAs.
Not gonna lie, I ran Walmart RCA Scotias until about a year ago. I'm not gonna lie, just replace them with kicker, just so everything matches. I mean, sound quality for what we're doing with how loud we are, you're not going to hear that little bit of distortion. But yeah, you're going to send your amplifier a cleaner signal if you have a better RCA with less, interference. So you're absolutely right.
Andy spoiled with the SQ kicker, guys. And they could take a signal like a smoke signal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I can't tell anyway.
We all know kicker is a great product. There's no question.
Yeah.
Well, we all know your kicker is a great product. There's no question. But if you're going to send a signal, send a clean signal. What's the point of sending dirty signal?
Right. Yeah. I want to see someone test, the difference between, I mean, obviously the Scotia RCAs are twisted and stuff like that, but like a very generic RCA cable compared to a very high-end sound quality, you're paying $200, $300 for 6 foot of RCA,
Look at Toyd's DIY audio.
He has that.
Hi-Fi's right now. It's for home audio, okay?
Right, but still.
But they go hand in hand, okay? But it goes over to your cheap entry-level RCAs to, like nice braided ones and metal connectors. And there is a difference, but it's just like anything else. Was like that 80-20 method. So there's like, once you get into the so nice of the shielding and the twist.
Yeah, there's definitely a drop-off.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need, CNC freaking brass, RCA connectors. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to gain anything of that.
It's not just the coding. It's how much voltage can you carry across it. That's what counts too.
Oh, for sure. And then you got to think about it too, especially when you get into nicer radios, you're going to be carrying higher voltages across those wires. And I don't know if you ever like pulled some crappy RCAs apart. You're looking at a few, green bean strings of wire.
Oh yeah, there's nothing to them.
So you start carrying 6 volts, 5 volts, of current down there for the length of your car, and you can start having issues of not actually it's not going to melt your RCA wire, but those two wires touching each other, you can get interference, and you can get places where they get dead short or all kinds of stuff like that.
Right.
When you got big builds, when you run like a big build like mine, there's so much vibration. You got to have a pretty stout RCA end on it, or it's just going to fall apart.
That's when you start seeing, you get that price point. You start seeing.
Well, see, I'm not even loud, so it makes sense why I don't know.
Andy, you say you're not loud. This guy's doing, was it you hit a 50, didn't you? You got a 50. Yeah, you're doing 50s and doing hair tricks on a single sub on 2,400 watts. Okay,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so you can't even. I don't even do hair tricks in front of mine, man. Come on, you're more windy than I am, dude. And that's what the funny thing about systems is too, is like the amount of people that. On paper that I'm louder than, but I'm like, I've heard people like 4 dB like quieter than me that are just like wind, and I'm like, this is not fair. It's not fair. I need it. But
that's all I wanted, man. That's it. I know that's the weird thing about it. When I sit in the car, it's like it's not really, really loud to me, but it's like my ears hurt after a while because it is kind of loud, but it's a lower frequency. It's different. But when you're like you what do you peak at, like 40, 43 hertz or something?
43
Scott?
hertz is my peak, yeah.
Right.
You go like
right.
I haven't.
Loud.
Well, actually, I haven't done it since I've done I haven't metered that system since I did the roof and all that stuff. Like, it's honestly a completely different stereo than it was when I first did the meter at the Power Hog show. It's multiple dB louder, and we turned the amps up. I'm about to go back down to. I'm sure you probably saw it online. I'm going to go down to I think I've talked to you about it before. Down one series of subwoofer. just so I can just really get them things moving. You know what I mean? So I think it would
That's
be better.
what I've seen. Smaller coil, lighter suspension.
Mm-hmm. So right now you can ask Casey and Joe. And I took Joe on a ride earlier to the gas station, and I had all of my subs on 17500, and they're just barely vibrating. Like
they're not even moving.
Yeah,
they're stickled.
You just need more power. That's all.
What are you peaking at, Joe?
On mine?
Yeah,
43, I believe.
okay.
That's a good number, man.
It's like a
It
Tahoe
really is.
number, man.
Yeah.
I'm peaking at 23, 24.
Jesus.
I meters the same, like 20 to 24, just about.
Right. Well, that's where you get that win, man. You're just moving. The
That's
wavelength
crazy.
is so long, you know.
That's
They're
what's
still not moving like I
but-
want them to, though.
Is yours a 6 or a 4th?
A
this is the
6.
sixth.
Yeah, you
Six.
got the
I'm a
brand new
4th,
ones.
so that's why.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you mean 6 order? Okay. I
Yeah.
thought you meant ZV6 or ZV4.
Oh.
Well, yeah, ZV6 is on the 6, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
The
yeah.
I mean, the both fields are moving though. I mean, crap. I mean, even that old Solo X is still getting it. I mean, that poor Spider is probably going to turn to dust anytime soon.
Oh man, I check on it time and time. It's very weak. Like I'm surprised it holds the coil straight, man. It's from like that over excursion, and it just old, and it wasn't designed that way, man. I talked to Jeremy Brown, and he was one of the guys that designed it, and he literally said, yeah, it can do that, but it wasn't designed in that way at all. You know,
That's
it just
what I
happened to want to do that.
I had a conversation with a few of the Rockford guys, and we're talking about the Lightning Audio stuff. Like for instance, like that Strike subwoofer that I said I love so much, and I'm like, hey man, like I have this thing where I don't bottom out the sub, but like what can I do? I make the tinsel lead slap, and like make my amp gun protect. And I was like, they're like, Scott, that's a 20-year-old subwoofer. Can it play those notes you're playing? Yes, but we didn't intend it to play rebased music and all that jazz. Playing 30,
Right.
45, 35.
Dude, YouTube rebase music absolutely slams.
Yeah,
It's like such
For
a
20
dirty
years,
thing.
yeah.
I hate it.
yeah, for an
Heck
ancient,
yeah.
just
Me
like
and Scott were in traffic in Atlanta just smacking on YouTube songs. I'm like,
some of those
Man,
YouTube ones are
great.
lying. Yeah, they're
and then
some
the
of those.
smell.
Yeah,
I can't. I know. I hope they make a new 18. That'd be nice. Something with a little bit more throw, a little tighter suspension, but not too tight.
I got a
new
feeling
one would be
they're
nice.
gonna. I got a feeling they're gonna make an 18. If I know kicker, then they're gonna do it. The lineup they're gonna do 10, 12, 15, 18. If I had to guess, because they're gonna be marketing.
Unless maybe you know something we don't.
I don't know nothing.
He
Yeah,
probably already knows.
I can't even take him. Yeah, I'm not gonna go
Just
there.
think of it
'cause
this way: they kind of queued me in way early, so it's like maybe.
That's
Just
torture,
maybe.
dude. Like, they're like, hey, we're gonna take
Oh, I
exactly
know,
what we're doing.
man.
You can't
I
talk
know.
about it.
So
Just
Joe,
every step along the way was torture. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't tell anyone anything about anything. This is terrible.
we might have to have you taken in on another one. We do the scrapyard base wars. How do you feel about going back into the conversation topic? How do you feel about people buying used audio? Do you think they can get some good bargains on used stuff?
So if you're a bass head buying from other bass heads and you know the equipment was taken care of, it's okay. If you're buying it from Facebook off the street, you're going to get burned.
Yeah, there's been
It's
multiple.
right to the punch, you know.
Yeah,
Well, I can sugarcoat it. You're going to get a good deal until you get home and you figure out it doesn't work. You're going to get burned.
Been there.
It happens. It's just the way it goes. I mean, if you're buying it off of me, Scott, and you heard it before it came up, we took it out. You know how it is.
Mhm.
It was taken care of. Especially if it came from me, it was taken care of. Or it was reconed yesterday. But otherwise, you buy it off the street, you're going to get what you paid for. A good deal. That was cheap.
Yeah, I think on the amps things, just as long as they're familiar that you're, like, hey, can I test this real quick? It's okay. But yeah, I've been burned on subwoofers, and there's been multiple times where I went to go buy older subwoofers for collector stuff, stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, it's great, and all this stuff. You get there, it's blown as snot. Like I drove
4 subs that I knew were like beat to shit. Like 4 SP4 plus 18s, I knew they were beat to death. Like on video, 500 plus demos on them. I'm like, I'm still gonna get them. And I had the audacity to still be upset when one blew.
Just broken.
There's a couple subwoofers I'd buy. I don't care if they were blown, just for decoration. But
That's what I bought that. Andy, I haven't told you. I guess I did. Yeah, I bought that Solo L7, the 2002 one.
And the W7.
The same thing the guy got there. The same thing the guy's like, okay. Luckily, I got it for free though. Okay, so like literally, this guy's like, I drove an hour to get there, and he's like, yeah, this L7's good. It's in good shape, and it looked good. The sub looks good. I get there, it's seized as it can be. Okay, like I mean,
Oh my
it's.
God.
I'm like, bro, this is blown. He's like, what do you mean it's blown? Where's it blown? I'm like, okay, move this thing. And I was like, this is garbage. I don't want it. I'm like, and then I gave him a demo of my truck, and then I was like, what are you gonna do? Yeah, I was like, what are you gonna do? I was like, what are you gonna do with that thing? He's like, I guess I'm gonna throw it away. And I'm like, oh, it's still in the truck. He's like, it's fine. But
I can't.
yeah,
God, that sucks. Is that
Did
when
it-
you got? That's a different time than when you got that KX amp, right? That's a different guy, huh?
different guy. No, that's the day that I got the
Two
the
CVRs.
no, I got the Solo Barrack 15, and I got the Comp 10 the same day. But so it was actually kind of like a good trip because I got that supper free. Then I scored that 10 in the box for $20 on the way home. So it was like, can't be mad.
Right.
But didn't mean to derail too far on that. When I get excited talking about used stuff, Joe, what do you think about? We might have Joe come on one night and maybe judge some of these systems, get Andy in on the game because we've been making him be the judge guy sometime. Maybe for another scrapyard base wars. And how we do this is we take and the three of us would gather setups. We give like a certain price range on Facebook Marketplace. We throw them together, and then we have somebody judge them on what we think appearance, collectability. Andy, what was the score? Appearance, collectability, and SPL.
Yeah, I want a rematch. I feel like that was
Well, that
Hey,
could
that
be
was
good.
pretty close, man. Hey, you did good for last minute, searching.
That could be
Scott
good.
was-
Casey won SPL the award or something like that. The
Yep.
ring, yeah, the ring.
CVRs with the Rockville DB1 or something like that.
How do you remember that?
I know it's bad.
You're great.
I'll remember your system, your name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a budget on this. We only can spend so much money.
Yes.
Yes.
500?
budget.
Yeah, $500 or whatever we said it to be. We might want to change it up a little bit different, but maybe $1,000, maybe whatever. The first one we did was new versus used, and we might even do something similar to that again, where it's like, what system can I get for $1,000 new versus used, or the most amount of it? We might go ball out of control and have Joe judge and do a three-way tandem on that one.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That could be good. We could do that. We can
What
do
else?
that.
Heck yeah. So I think we've
That'd
had
be cool if we could do that and then almost meter the systems. Like if we would want to do that down the road for some kind of competition for everyone to do. Wouldn't that be crazy? Kind of like how they have the what is it, the $100 or 150 SPL challenge?
Oh wow, you're talking about really going and doing these things here.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Scott does not want that smoke, bro.
Dude, I'll take that smoke. I will get. I don't think Jake's in here. I will get Jake Zimmerman to throw something on Facebook Marketplace and wink it. Yeah.
No allowed to cheat.
Yeah.
Cheating is an automatic loss.
You
If
cannot be
you-
friends
I like
on
that,
Facebook
Joe.
with them.
Stern but fair.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair. That's fair
No-
if you can't be friends with on Facebook.
No,
That's-
Waste
no
my whole
cheating.
Tahoe for $500.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I got mine. I'll play that.
Touche.
Yeah, post it up, Joe, so I can screenshot it and take it back down.
Once mine gets finished in about a week, you don't want to play that.
It's funny. He's gonna be like, yeah, exactly. I found the Tahoe for $500 and it's loaded. I mean,
Yeah,
The guy that assisted me
160 plus.
it had a bad wire. I got it because it had a bad wire in it. He couldn't figure out what the problem was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, loose connection.
$4 fees.
Gotta love
now.
those
Good.
people.
yeah. I
Yeah.
showed up. He thought
Yeah.
every one of those subs was blown, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah.
It had an RCA. It was bad. I just changed
Yeah.
it. It was one of those ones from Walmart. Yeah,
Man, lucky guy, man. Lucky guy.
yeah. It happens. He got frustrated. He had enough. He said, "I put 20 grand or more, well, way more." And that you didn't want to know what you don't even want to know what I put in that truck. You don't even want to know.
No,
You don't want-
I believe it.
So we were
That's
talking
not a
about.
thing you do after a certain point in the build. You don't count out what it costs.
You don't want to
Okay.
know.
I've not
just
priced
won't do
it
it.
anymore. I
People
did the
ask me all
math.
the time, I'm just like, I fucking know, dude.
Yeah, I did the math the other day on the subs and the amps, and then I plugged the seats to it, and I didn't put the box in or anything like that. I'm like, I'm stopping here. I'm not going any. I'm not not doing RCA's doors, nothing.
Right,
It's
you
great.
forget about all the little stuff you pay for. It adds up. Does.
Wait till you get an SUV, Andy. Like I've got an exponential amount of money in OFC wire going to the back of my limo. Okay, like yeah, I mean dude, that's a lot. That's a long run.
Heck yeah. Yeah, that thing's.
Joe's
You got
got
the
quite a bit of
expedition,
wire.
right? That's like what,
excursion?
20 foot?
Yeah, it's excursion.
Excursion. I always
don't-
call it the expedition.
Everyone does. It's fine. I don't know how long it's big. It's
How many
Yeah.
rolls do you have in your Tahoe, Joe?
250
We all
foot
use Sky
rolls
High.
or 50 foot rolls. Yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 full rolls of 50 foot.
Feet,
Power
Jesus.
and ground.
And I have in the back. I have. Let me think. Hang on. 6 full rolls. 6, 7. I have 8
Go to
full
the back,
rolls.
Scott.
I have eight full rolls in there.
Oh
That's
wow.
wild. Just in the
You
back,
got
I bet you needed a whole roll, didn't you?
The whole truck.
And you're limitless because you look like, but your system is identical to my buddy LaShawn Partlow's. His is just a lot smaller. He has two BC 5500s on, or no, is it the 11? Yeah, he's got the 1100.1s too, or the 11,000, whatever they are.
1100.
Yeah, 1100. And he has it on two limitless, same batteries that you have. He has it on a 100 and a 45 amp hour. He's got something under the hood too. I'm not sure, but it's lithium as well, and it's whatever. Looks just like yours, but he needs a new box. But it's just crazy. Is that what size lithium limitless do you have in the back there?
100s. I have two 100s.
Okay, so you got a little bit more than him. Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Your voltage shouldn't budge whatsoever with that. And then you had how many alternators? 4, 3?
I have three. I have two 500s and one 370. But I can drain them with those 17Ks. I can drain them batteries down in 30 seconds. So.
Wow. Well, yeah. What do you have them wired at, like half or something like that?
Yeah, 0.5. But it'll pull them voltage out of them. I'll drain them down in 30 seconds. No problem.
Jesus.
Dude, I thought my voltage was so good, Joe, until I went half ohm on mine too, and it starts. Yeah, it does go down after like a couple songs.
Come on, put 20K.
Man, that's the problem. You guys are all clipping.
I don't clip.
You'll be all right.
I don't clip. That's 40K. You know, that's a lot of power. So
right.
Touche.
I'm not even mad about it.
You watch your mouth, Andy.
You get into like a little bit of clipping.
No, I'm talking.
All right.
Under my hood, I got two excess power D3400s being charged off that 370. That runs my doors.
Do you run an isolator in between everything, or you
two
just
different
run
split system?
Okay, so 12 volt and 14 volt setup.
No, 12 and 12. 12 and 12.
Just 12 and 12, just separate. Gotcha.
Yeah. I didn't want the truck to get confused with charging and grounding and cause issues, and so I said, you know what, let everything stay at 12 volt. I'll just run the back at 14.7, and trucks runs at 14.7, so everything is happy. There's no conflict of interest there, and everybody's happy.
And that's what you did,
my
Casey.
My charge is about 14, then my lithium's at 16.
You did the same system on yours, Casey. The split system's correct?
Yeah, I got two 370s and then the stock all on my mids and highs.
I think that's going to be the route I'm going to go because I did finally get in contact with the guy with the dual alt bracket. And I think I'm going to leave. I'm going to put my stalker back on to run the stock battery and stock electronics and my lights and like my mids and highs amp, and then do the second alt just on the lithium bank in the back.
You need two alternators for your lithium in the back.
I do, but it's the V10 problem life because I got that nasty, terrible engine in there.
The same guy who built mine has one for you, I'm sure.
Well, if you're 14.8 anyways, you can put your stock stuff in there with it.
I could.
It's the same. I mean, you'll be all right.
Touche. Yeah, well, I just checked it again. It's for sure 14.9 right now, but the not that a 0.1 matters, but the it probably would be fine. It probably would be fine if I did two alts and just run it all off to the lithium.
Yeah, what does that point matter when you're demoing it like 11 volts?
I
don't never see that low.
Dude, we turned those amps up at that Excess Power show, and it sucked that. Dude, when I was demoing it forever, I was cracking the gain down just enough to where it was like stay above 12.1. So like if it was staying above 12, fine.
I've never seen past 12.7, so I don't know.
Bragger.
No, and
that's what you want.
I haven't seen past 14.9 yet.
Yeah, that's good.
15.9, yeah. So I haven't seen over full volt yet.
What do those limitless rest at? 13.4 or something like that?
If I'm not charging, they'll go down to about 13.1. And this is not bad. It's not bad. But I can play on them. Like I can play on them right now for at low volume for an hour, and it'd be just fine. But if I turn it up at all, it's going to go down. It's going to go away.
Wow.
They're not really. I know they tell you can play on them, but I'm telling you, them 17Ks will drain them quickly. Yeah. So, no matter what they tell you, I have them. It doesn't work that way.
Have you ever thought of C-Max or a different type of lithium for how much power you're doing?
Yes, I would love to have other brands of battery, but because of the space I have, I don't have it. I just don't have the room.
That Yinlong's like hitting a brick wall, man. I hit 49, it doesn't move after that. But,
yeah,
those lithiums don't fit. Anything bigger than lithiums in width won't fit back there. That's all the room I have.
We can fit a bunch.
We can make you a bank. Yeah, we can make hardware and make you a bank long and skinny if you really want to.
How high can we go? Can I go 200 plus?
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably do. A couple hundred amp hours at least.
They also were making them where it was the 80 amp hour, but it was long hardware. So instead of doing them in a square together, it just series parallels in a long ways.
With your alternator setup, you could get away with 160 per amp.
I
So
think you could
get away with 320 amp hour.
We got to get much as we can fit back there, because right now what I have is not enough, and I'm running two 100s, which is technically 50,000 watts worth of power, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's still not enough.
How you liking the JY powers?
Man. You'd be surprised with these in-longs.
Yeah. And you've got the JY Power for a couple weeks now, haven't you? How you liking those? Or
Heck yeah, man, they're doing awesome. Unless I'm clipping, I don't even touch the battery. That's the thing, and that's what's nice, because the batteries are doing their job. They're taking the brute, and then the alternator's charging it. Yeah, because I ran the 2 so I can upgrade. So we'll see once I start clamping like 7, 8, 9K of power. We'll see how well they do.
I'm glad you brought that up. And I mean, I thought you were finished. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was done.
The brought that up as far as running up the battery. I was thinking that sorry, I was playing the podcast started playing on my Facebook. I'm like, who's talking right now? But no, the when you're drawing off your battery, so you need to, in my honest opinion, you need to try to get your charging amperage kind of as close as you can technically to like a nominal load that your system is going to put on it. So if you're drawing 200 amps, like you probably need to be feeding in 200 amps of back into that reserve, or just think about 100 amps per 1,000 watts, roughly, something like that.
Right, you got to keep putting water in the bucket for the water not to drain out.
Or you're going to be draining off of it. So like if you got 1,000 watts and you're roughly taking and doing 100 amps, your 160 amp alternator isn't going to cut it anymore much longer, because you're probably drawing 80, 90 amps when you have your headlights and your AC and all that stuff on. And that's one thing people don't think about, is if you're putting in as much amperage as you're taking out, you're not really running off that battery reserve capacity. I just wanted to touch back on that. I'm glad you mentioned it. But the other, did I catch like a kick or wink there, like for a second? You talking about doing 8, 9K. What's going on with Andy's system going over to 8,000 watts?
Oh, you're telling me, man. Yeah.
I caught what you were putting down there, bucko.
Bigger subs, bigger amps, man. I'm ready. Yeah.
How ready? How many are you going to put in?
Away. Well, if I said what I'm gonna do, it'd probably give it away.
You can't.
Yeah.
Okay, don't give it away.
Think about the wattage.
All right.
Because I'm only clamping 2K now on 118. So, I mean, I got a couple decisions, but that's the main one for that build, for sure. But yeah, I got the 2 JY HP40s mainly because I wanted to upgrade down the road with all this other stuff coming. Okay. And then also, I was originally going to run just a lithium by itself, and I was worried about the crank amps of 140 amp hour JY. I thought it might not be enough for a crank amp to, turn the car over and power everything by itself, because it's lithium and not an AGM battery with because the lithiums and AGMs, because like the internal resistance or something like that, it's like different chemistry. You know what I mean? That's what I was worried about, where they say, for lithium, you want to have at least, half the AH of your OEM lead acid or AGM battery, even though that doesn't really make sense either. Right. Because I was looking into, like how much lithium do you need for just running lithium in your car by itself? And that's what I was worried about, because lithium is different than AGM batteries, obviously.
And then everything worked better. Like, I didn't believe Casey at first, and I got my first lithium was a 40 amp hour EH5 lithium battery, the blue cell. And he was like, bro, I'm telling you, everything's going to work better. And then like literally like my truck started faster, the lights were brighter, like my air blew colder, like harder or whatever. I'm like, this is
discharge
crazy.
Faster, yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. That's the thing, the discharge and recharge values. It's incredible. Even when I got the high output alternator, the AGMs, it wasn't a big jump compared to going to the lithium. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is nice. I'm not even clipping. Before I'd be clipping, and I'm clean now. That's crazy. And I got everything set the same. And I'm playing louder and clean, which is nuts, It's just weird, man. Those KX amplifiers, man, they pull a crap ton of power.
They make a crap ton of power. What are you talking about?
That's the thing, yeah. They're bigger than they seem, It's like, oh, it's a 2,000 watt amp. Yeah, kind of.
Why are you clipping? Is your amp not big enough?
Well, kind of, sort of. I mean, it's a Solo X, just one of these guys on the KX 2400 ran a 1. Whenever I'm like burping, I'm only clamping 1850, 2000 watts, really. So yeah, and I'm rising to like 3.3 ohms. So I'm not really wired low on it, because you don't want to do that anyway.
Not really. It don't sound good. Right. It doesn't sound good.
Right. And I don't know. It's just, like anybody, they want to get the most out of their system, and whenever you don't have your, electrical up to par, you're turning that system farther than it can go. Or it's just, you have your electrical and everything up to par, and you're just expecting too much performance with the equipment that you have, with the box that you have, the car, the sub, everything.
Why are you guys acting like that, Andy?
Sorry, buddy.
So your goal is to squeeze as much out of nothing, right?
Right.
I wouldn't say out of nothing.
Well,
I
nothing.
try to find the limits of my equipment. I like to know like what the limit is, and then I like to teeter there until something fails or it doesn't fail.
Right.
I have the opposite. Overkill. I have the opposite. Absolute overkill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I tell my buddy, it's like, when you're driving your car
too. Woo.
Like when you're driving your car, do you floor it everywhere you go?
Yes.
My Corvette, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah. See, that's different.
Yeah. I
Don't like
think,
that,
Talking like how we're still clipping like we were when we first started. I got Scott's Corvette that he sold recently, and he drove it just like he drove Civics in high school. I was like, dude, you're gonna like, this is crazy.
No shit.
I don't know about you guys, but if you buy your Corvette, you should drive it like you bought it. I want to drive it fast, right?
Yeah, you pay for the whole speedo. You might as well use it.
I'm going to get it.
And the tag.
I built this truck to be loud as possible for as long as possible. That was the reason I built this truck. I didn't buy it to be quiet. If I wanted to build a quiet car, I'd have bought a car with stock radio. Right? Yeah. So that's the reason I built it.
My problem is I'm trying to do too much with not much. You know what I mean? It's just 118, and I'm trying to do 49s, 50s at 32 hertz in one car. You know what I mean? On a 3.5-inch coil, yeah, it's 5,000 RMS. Not really. It's about 2,000.
That's why you're going to 2 subs.
Maybe.
That's still
or maybe
impressive,
just
though.
one that's better.
Oh yeah, one big close.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well,
That's still an impressive number for one sub. That's very impressive.
Very, yeah. That's why I like Andy's system, man. He's doing a lot with little, and that's how I've always been. I like to show that.
What do you have in the doors?
Huh?
I just have Kicker KS 6x9s in the doors, and then I have 3. Yeah, they work. I mean, they're just coaxials, and then I have the 3.5s in the air vents, and then 1-inch dome tweeters on top Kicker, and then it's supposed to be a Kicker KX 400.4 on the mids and highs. Right now, it's just an Alpine. Been having some issues with this 400.4. Me and Kip been going back and forth with things on this testing stuff, so eventually it'll be back in the car. But it's enough; it keeps up with the system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's a tiny car. You got your speakers down low, and it wasn't enough, so I put them in the air vents, and it really screams at you. So it's enough. Oh yeah, Cookie Monster.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's called this one Cookie Monster.
Cookie
I don't know if you can see it in there, Joe. So he's got it just about as close to being walled off as he humanly possibly could. And I love it. I can't wait to see it in person one day and see all the blue.
What kind of a box is it?
It's a birch box. It's 10 cubes tuned around 29 hertz with a 10-inch arrow.
10 cubes.
Wow.
Yes. It was originally 14, believe it or not. I shrunk it inside. Wow. It's a little bit smaller inside. It's like 10 now, a little over 10.
And how low can that play?
13 hertz. 13 to about 20 with one window down. And then whenever I want to play anything like really loud, both windows down, my range is like 29 to about 42.
That's awesome.
It reacts like a 6-order. It's kind of funky, but it works. That's how it does the hair tricks on the real low notes.
I got it.
That's fantastic.
Thanks, man. Oh yeah, here we go.
Didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, that's whenever I first got the
should have put the wig
lithium in there.
I saw the first one that I saw the videos in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Single sub.
That's excellent.
It works.
Oh, you can be shy. It's excellent.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, dude. Andy always downplays his stuff. I'm like, bro, you're doing hair tricks like crazy, slinging it at with one sub and 2,000 watts. I can't even blow hair like that with 15,000 watts, bro. Shut up. No,
build big, tune low. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, gentlemen, we're over the 1 hour mark. I think that was a fantastic episode. Joe, my man, I appreciate having you on, dude. And again, we
Thank
talked
you very
earlier.
much.
We'll definitely have you on again anytime you'd like to.
That'd be great. That'd be great. I had a great time. Appreciate it a lot.
No problem.
Judge our show next.
You're a cool dude, Joe.
I'm telling you, Joe's gonna be judging us. Yeah, he's gonna be. I'm gonna have to slip him some side hustle money so I can get the championship again because I won the last one.
Yeah, you can't buy me out. You can't buy me out. No, it's not gonna happen.
Coming in the ring.
You can't buy Joe out.
Yeah, we got.
Make it happen.
I could see Andy
Thanks,
showing
fellas.
up with like a straight up boxing suit on, like you know.
One of those pop-up sumo suits, right?
Yeah. Come on, let's go. Come on, man.
But cool. We'll go ahead and wrap this up, guys. We're hitting the hour and 5 minute mark. I appreciate everyone's time. That was episode 8. We had special guest Cigar Joe. Again, that was a fantastic show. I'm glad to get to know you a little better too, and some of the history into it. You got any closing statements, guys? What's up, guys? You got anything to close with?
I'm thankful for being here. Appreciate it a lot.
Yeah,
Casey,
as always, thank you for having me, man. Always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe, for coming on. And don't forget to go, if you have an SPL build, go check your connections. Make sure they're still tight. If you have RCAs that screw on, go make sure they're still screwed on.
Yeah.
Check your grounds. Check your ground cables. But guys, you have a good night.